On his second day since returning before the Zondo Commission, yet another bombshell, former COO of BOSASA, Angelo Agrizzi, has implicated National Assembly Chairperson and senior ANC MP Cedric Frolick. Agrizzi revealed that Frolic received bribes around 2010-2011 to ensure that the then Parliament's Correctional Services Chairperson, Vincent Smith, was sympathetic towards BOSASA. This, at the time, Smith held an anti-BOSASA perspective, and Watson believed that Frolic had a good relationship with him. Well, for more on this story, we cross to our senior reporter, Mzwandile Mbeche, who's standing by for us. Explosive allegations indeed, Mzwandile. What's the latest?
Well, Nombo, Angelo Agrizzi here basically said the difficulty with which they were having with trying to get Vincent Smith on board. So they had to look at ways really to convince him. Remember, he was the chairperson of the portfolio committee on services, so which means it's someone really they needed to work with in order to be able to advance their interests. He says then they invited Cedric Frolick and Buti Kompela to the BOSASA offices here in Johannesburg. And they wanted to show them what is it that BOSASA is doing, so that when they went back to Parliament, they would be able really to have a word with someone like Vincent Smith, who was very hostile towards BOSASA. And then what basically happened, is that Cedric Frolick originally comes from the Eastern Cape, I think PE, and Gavin Watson, the CEO of BOSASA, also comes from there. He basically said to them, you know what, I know So I know him from a long time ago, so I would be able to speak to him. So what then happened was that they somehow got him on board to say he needs to really help here by then speaking to Vincent Smith. So at that meeting, which happened at the BOSASA offices, Nombo, Agrizzi says he saw Kevin Watson give Cedric Frolick the security bag. You know, the security bags normally contained cash. So he says he knew he was being given cash. Gavin Watson told Agrizzi to say, now every month we need to arrange 50,000 that must be given to Frolic. And Agrizzi says at some point he personally went to PE with this cash to deliver Cedric. It was quite explosive indeed, Nombu. In fact, the other issue, perhaps very quickly, around Parliament, Agrizzi spoke about the issue of the Post-SONA. You remember that when the conditions were very tough in the country, so after SONA it was decided that there would be no after party because Parliament did not have money. But Agrizzi is actually saying, you know what? There actually was what you would call post-SONA parties. There is a restaurant in Cape Town, I think these restaurants are all over, called Cubana. When finished at SONA in Parliament, they would then flock to Cubana, where they would have parties and BOSASA would pick up the tab. So those are some of the issues really that Agrizzi is raising here.
And Mzwandile, what can we expect after the lunch recess?
Well, we expect him to continue with evidence, because you know what's basically happening here is that Agrizzi is perhaps confirming some of the issues that he dealt with in January and perhaps clarifying where he needs to clarify. That's why you heard him saying someone like Kevin Watson really was the alpha and omega of BOSASA, so everything centered around him. So he is continuing really to implicate a number of people. I mean, some may be known in public, others, of course, we may not know about, but those are the people who were central in the execution of the corrupt activities at BOSASA. So what will happen when we come back after lunch is that he will continue really sharing with the Commission what is it that he knows, who was involved in whatever issue that he's dealing with.
And just very quickly, Mzwandile, in terms of time, when are we expecting to see the ANC cross-examine Agrizzi on his testimony?
Well, Nombu, as you may be aware, that this morning the ANC issued a statement saying they will apply to this commission to seek to cross-examine Agrizzi. And that basically flows, Nombu, from the statements that he made yesterday. He was detailing a number of activities that BOSASA was doing with the ANC. But perhaps what really touched, or rather provoked this response from the ANC, was that he said, I remember very vividly that we made a donation of 10 to 12 million rand to the top 6 of the ANC. Of course, we don't know which top 6 he's referring to, but I mean, if you look at the time that he has spent at BOSASA, I mean, he's been there for about 18 years. So you can obviously decide for yourself which top six is bad. So the ANC then has decided to then apply so that they would have the opportunity. But as you would know, Nompu, it's not automatic that you would be able to just do that. So they will apply to the chairperson, and the chairperson will look at that application, and then obviously in due course, he will then be able to make a decision.
All right, Mzwandile, thanks very much for that. We apologize, technology doesn't always love us. Over to you, Arabile.
Thank you, Nombu.